extraordinary session is declared open. I want to know your opinion on whether this historic meeting should be closed or open.
Open. Closed. Open. Open.
May wants to talk about it.
Gentlemen, we should not take the historic decision unbeknownst to the nation. Let's keep the door of the country's parliament open so that everyone knows what a dangerous situation we are in and what decision we will make.
The last session. This was the last session of the Azerbaijani parliament. 23 months ago, on 28 May 1980, the National Council of Azerbaijan was formed in Tbilisi and Council signed the Declaration of Independence of the establishment of the People's Republic. On 30 May, the Prime Minister of the new Republic, Fatali Khan-Hoyski, sent a radio telegram to the world's leading states and convened the mission of the Republic of Azerbaijan.
Beginning from today, Azerbaijan, which covers the southeastern Transcaucasia, is a fully fledged, independent state. The administrative form of the independent Azerbaijan state is a People's Republic.
On 11 January 1920, the Supreme Council of the Paris Peace Conference recognized the de facto independence of the Azerbaijan Republic, and in this connection, 14 January was declared an off day in the country, and a military parade was organized in Baku. On that day, residents of Baku proudly hang the tricolor flag on their balconies. People flocked to the streets of the festive city with these flags. Azerbaijan was celebrated. The Azerbaijan Democratic Republic, which is the first parliamentary republic in the Muslim East, started a successful journey with ideals of independence. But the first secret congress of Bolsheviks is held in Baku. Different organizations with communist tendencies decide to unite under a single party. The leader of the Russian Bolsheviks, Vladimir Lenin, is selected to the honorary presidium of the meeting.
Baku Bolsheviks in fact worked hard from February 1920 to overthrow the Azerbaijan government and secure a Russian military invasion.
Another session of the Azerbaijani parliament is being held. The state budget, pay rise for officials, allocation of 3 million rubles to earthquake victims in Georgia, and other issues are discussed. On the same day, another secret meeting of Baku communists is held in a secret apartment. The meeting adopts an appeal on behalf of Azerbaijani workers to Soviet Russia, the Communist International and the Red Army.
Your victories bring joy to our hearts and make us believe in victory. We believe that Russia's Peasants' Council, the Communist International, and the heroic Red Army will not remain indifferent to our unequal fight against the counter-revolution.
Lenin to Orджоникидзе, to the Military Revolutionary Council of the Caucasus Front. It is extremely important for us to take Baku. Focus all your efforts on this direction. Specifically, statements should be purely diplomatic.
Baku is more important than Moscow. Trotsky said during the Brest-Litovsk talks, "This phrase says a lot."
The city lives its usual days. Shops and markets work in the same way as before. Announcement in the Azerbaijan newspaper. Starting from 18 March this year, a first-class restaurant called Severny opens. The best chiefs and cultural workers have been invited. Red Army troops expel Denikin's troops from Mineralny Vody and Pyatigorsk, and the road of Vladikavkaz is open. The army reaches the northern borders of Georgia on the Caucasus front. After that, the troops approach the Azerbaijani border. Trotsky to Stalin. I am sending a request to Tukhachevsky. It is planned to take 3 infantry and 3 cavalry divisions from you. Do you think it is possible to start an operation immediately to capture and retain Baku in such a situation? It would be better if you won over the Georgian government by promising immunity and oil. The government is taking concrete measures against those who are plotting a coup by carrying out secret Bolshevik propaganda in the city. And their arrests. In protest against these measures, Minister of Agriculture and Land Affairs Ahmed Bey Pipinov stops his work in the government based on the decision of the Social Democrat Workers' Party of Azerbaijan. The representative of the United Kingdom in the Transcaucasia, Colonel Stokes, sends a letter to the UK Foreign Office to say that he does not understand the changes in his country's Caucasus policy. The first question that requires an answer is what is the essence of British policy in the Transcaucasia? Recently, we stated that we would help these 3 states with weapons and munitions, but today we are refusing to do so. Azerbaijan and Georgia are creating a defense alliance, but Armenia is not joining this confederation mostly due to French intrigues and is engaged in hostility with Azerbaijan.
Baku, the 22nd of March. Completely confidential. To the Mayor and Governor-General of Baku. According to reliable sources, people with bad intentions are preparing to organize a mass breakout from the Bayil prison in order to create riots in the capital. Please note that all necessary precautions are being taken to prevent this criminal act.
On 22nd March, the Red Army ousts the White Guard from Maikop. The Red Army attack continues. Grozny is taken on 24th of March. The oil fields here are taken over by the Soviets.
Hoshov Bey Sultanov, the governor of Karabakh, to the chairman of the Council of Ministers. On the 23rd of March, at 3:30 at night, Armenians launched a massive attack on our military unit in Hankandi. At the same time, Shusha was attacked too. Gazakh Governor-General Amiraslan Hanhoysky to the Minister of Internal Affairs, Mustafa Bey Vakilov. Urgent. Beginning from today, I declare martial law in Gazakh due to the difficult situation on the border.
The revolt raised in Karabakh during Nowruz is no accident. As a result, to prevent the revolt in Karabakh and ensure its territorial integrity, the Azerbaijan government was forced to send up to 20,000 of its 30,000 troops to the Western Front, the territory of Karabakh and Western borders. It means that the northern borders were left defenseless.
The opera Ashin Malalan by Uzer Hajjabayev is on the State Theatre. Azerbaijan newspaper publishes a report from the Ministry of Internal Affairs. On the basis of the correspondence by a Bolshevik named Habib Jabayev, it has been established that local Bolsheviks are preparing a revolt in Baku and throughout the Republic of Azerbaijan in order to change the existing republican system and establish a Soviet government. The situation in the country is deteriorating. Some ministers resign because of disagreements in the Council of Ministers. Prime Minister Usubayev is also forced to resign. The parliament instructs Mohammad Hassan Hyginsky to form the government.
General Salimov to the defense minister. The matter is very serious. The war between Armenia and Azerbaijan has already begun in Karabakh. Our army is fighting heroically, but it is very small compared to the enemy. There are not enough cartridges.
Red Army units stalk the White Guard heavily in the Kuban and Terek provinces. The troops are approaching the borders of the Baku province. Pravda newspaper writes that now the Russian proletariat must decide whether to stop on the border of Azerbaijan or to help the Baku proletariat who want to join Soviet Russia.
Quiet. Please be quiet, gentlemen. Quiet. The Interior Minister wants to give a special explanation on the Karabakh events.
On 22 March, Armenian officials in the service of Azerbaijan came to the Shusha fortress, each with 15 to 20 Armenian guards, on the pretext of meeting with the Governor General. 200 Armenian soldiers had assembled in the city. The same number inside the city attacked our soldiers in Shusha. On the one hand, this event was extremely unexpected because people were resting on the occasion of the holiday, and on the other, people did not expect such treason. The Armenian population of Karabakh's Javanshir and Zengezur districts also attacked our soldiers and rebelled. The temporary disrupted discipline will soon come to an end. The government is taking serious and strict measures in this regard.
We wrote some time ago that there will be a major catastrophe in Karabakh. It should be prevented and serious measures should be taken. We said don't sleep. And now we see that our words were right. If the government had been able to come to an agreement with the Bolsheviks inside, then the Soviet government could have accepted you. Denikin's forces are gathering in Armenia. Are we going to stand up to the gangs of this drunkard Denikin? If there is a force to stand up to them, it is the Russian army. Today we must seriously start talks with the Red Army. But the government will not succeed in these talks.
It's a lie, it's a slander, prove it!
A few days ago, the police discovered a plan to organize a rebellion. In this rebellion, it was planned to overthrow the government, dissolve the parliament, and proclaim Soviet rule here. Those papers also contain the signature by Mr. Alhadar Garayev, a member of parliament.
Shame on him! Get out, traitor!
Quiet. Please be quiet, gentlemen. Quiet.
The elements, which are enemies of Azerbaijan's independence and freedom, have raised a revolt in Karabakh. Gentlemen, no matter if the name of the rebel is Alahgadar or Valtaza, both are rebels. No matter if they raise a revolt in Karabakh or Baku, is the person saying this a representative of the people of Azerbaijan? They ask us whether we are going to fight Armenians. You have to bring the Red Army of Soviet Russia here to calm down the Karabakh rebels. What is this? Who is saying this? Is the person saying this a representative of the people of Azerbaijan or a Russian advocate? Shame, shame.
Agdam, the 1st of April. General Salimov to the Defense Minister. Please give a quick order to organize a 50-bed infirmary in Agdam. Ganja, the 1st of April. Defense Minister General Mehmandarov to the Council of Ministers. I have just come back from Yevlar. The first echelon comprised of Guba people has left Yevlar. The second echelon comprised of Zagatala residents is leaving today. The remaining military units will also reach Yevlar today. All these sections will be in Agdam on the 2nd of April.
Is this patriotism? Does a member of the Republic speak like this? Does a people's representative speak like this? Gentlemen, What I hear here is not the words of a member of the Azerbaijani parliament. It is the words of a Russian advocate, a Russian agent. If you convince me that you come to power, you will organize an Azerbaijani Turkic government here. Then we could talk to you. But you are not a genuine supporter of independence. You are a plotter who is preparing a rebellion. Instead of speaking about law, you threaten us that if we do not give power to you, there is great Russia and its great Red Army behind you. Are you threatening us in this way?
Some of the Bolsheviks and socialists worked in the Azerbaijan parliament. They openly supported the arrival of the troops of Soviet Russia in Azerbaijan under the guise of eliminating the consequences of the massacre in Karabakh, and on the other hand, under the guise of going to Anatolia and saving the East from the grips of imperialism.
Will that force come and solve the Karabakh problem? Or come and chew us up under the guise of the Karabakh issue? If they come here with Alahadar Garayev's whim, then they are not our friends. They are our enemies. Is our salvation today in giving power to Alahadar Garayev? Today's issue is that in Karabakh, the rebels have risen up against us. If we are true patriots, we need to go there with weapons in our hands. Today, there is no other issue.
The secret report of the district chief to the governor of Baku. A guard post has been set up in 2 areas within the boundaries of the districts entrusted to me in order to prevent the Bolsheviks from entering the Republic of Azerbaijan. All officers have been given concrete instructions on border control.
The nation is in great agitation. We must make friends with those who come from the north. It is impossible to do anything by force. This is the cure.
You probably know that the Red Army of Russia will not cross the border of Azerbaijan and will not devastate Azerbaijan. They highly appreciate the flag that the poor of Azerbaijan are holding in the hands.
We want to hear it from Chicherin, not from you.
For this purpose, you will destroy Azerbaijan.
Quiet. Please be quiet, gentlemen. They talked for half an hour here. We never knew who was the rebel. Armenians are the rebels and Muslims. They never told us to surrender the fortress like Asgaran to Armenians overnight. Now, whatever Mohammed Amin said here, he said it straight to Garayev's face. He did not say anything about the Dashnaks. Not at all, because they're nationalistic as well. Everyone knows Ali Aidar.
Yes, he is the leader of the plotters.
First of all, I said that the government had taken serious and strict measures with regard to Karabakh. And I believe it together with the whole government. I came from there. Unfortunately, I have not seen here the unity and self-sacrifice I saw there. They are all thinking that they have to liberate those who are in the siege, and have no doubts about it.
to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Azerbaijan. In the present situation, we bring to the attention of Your Excellency that there is a great need for peace in the Transcaucasia. We strongly recommend that you immediately resolve peacefully issues related to Karabakh and other districts where peace has been disrupted for the sake of your own interests. If you do not accept our invitation to peace at the present time, great and severe consequences may arise. France's chief negotiator in the Caucasus, Count de Mertel, British High Commissioner Wardrop, Italy's chief commander Colonel Gaba.
To the French, British and Italian High Commissioners. In response to your telegram dated April 2nd, I would like to inform Your Excellency that I informed you about the Karabakh events in detail by telegraph on March 28th. You can understand from that statement that the Armenians' treacherous attack on our army was carried out based on a plan prepared in advance to capture all of Karabakh.
Since the Azerbaijani government is responsible for the nation's life, it had to perform its care duty and take decisive action to end the rebellion. The Azerbaijani government is restoring peace and order in Karabakh.
Governor General Emir Aslan Hanhoyski to the Interior Minister. The Armenians raided the village of Yaradula at 5 a.m. in the morning. They killed 1/3 of the village population and burned the village. Then they attacked the neighboring Tatli village. Soldiers of the Armenian Regular Army are involved in the fighting. Interior Minister to the Governor of Gazakh. Today, 50,000 cartridges are sent to you. Accept and inform us. Interior Minister Ristambayov to the Military Governor of Baku. Please set up a special detachment of 200 troops from the reserve forces and send it to Guba by the evening train with 1 cannon and 2 machine guns.
On 14th April, the General Staff of the Russian Army is preparing plans to occupy Baku. Plans and maps are sent to Tukhachevsky, the commander of the Caucasus Front.
Foreign Minister Khoisky to Russian Foreign Minister Chicherin. After Dagestan's territory was liberated from Denikin's troops, the people of Azerbaijan hope to live freely without expecting a danger from the north, where mountain peoples and the Russian people live. However, nowadays a considerable increase is observed in the Russian military presence on the borders of the Republic of Azerbaijan. The government of Azerbaijan asks you to provide urgent information on the reasons for the deployment of military units to the aforesaid regions.
In order to lull the Azerbaijan government, Soviet Russia was negotiating with the Azerbaijan government at the time on the establishment of trade and economic relations.
Moscow, 17th April. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Garkhan to the Azerbaijani Foreign Ministry. Soviet Russia is ready to negotiate with the Republic of Azerbaijan in trade and economic relations. The commander of Caucasus Front sends Directive number 490 to the leadership of the 11th Army. On 27 April, an order was issued to cross the border of Azerbaijan and complete the Yalama-Baku operation within 5 days. The order also says that while occupying Baku, the current government of Azerbaijan should be arrested at any cost. Baku, 22nd April. The Baku Bureau of the Caucasus Regional Committee of the Communist Party of Russia, Bolsheviks, holds a meeting. It is decided to present the Republic of Azerbaijan with an ultimatum on 24th April to hand over power to the Bolsheviks. Ordzhonikidze to Lenin and Chicherin, Telegram. Members of the Ittihad Party, socialists and other parties have quit the government. Only Musavat members have remained in Usebayev's government. The leader of Turkish national movement, Mustafa Kemal Pasha, demands that Azerbaijan allow Soviet troops to move to the borders of Turkey in order to protect his country from British attacks. It is possible that we will enter Baku without fighting and declare Soviet rule. Narimanov is much needed in Baku. Please send him over here tomorrow morning.
Ittihadists and supporters of Mustafa Kemal Pasha decided to strengthen relations with Russia. The Turkish Communist Party was created in Baku in early 1920s. Their aim was to establish these relations.
The Central Committee of the Communist Party of Azerbaijan and the Baku Committee hold a meeting and make a decision in a secret apartment to carry out work against the government in factories and prepare people for the revolution. The 11th Red Army stops at the border of Azerbaijan. At noon a military meeting is held. The meeting was attended by Ordzhonikidze and Kirov, the commander of 11th Army Lewandowski, former Baku communist Mikoyan, Bolsheviks Musabayev and Jabiev, who joined the Red Army from Astrakhan and others.
It is no accident that when the 11th Army invaded Azerbaijan, a group of guides led by Mikoyan and involving Habib Jabiev and Musabayev, who knew the Turkish language and local customs of traditions, also came to the country.
We must cross the border on 27 April to help the Baku proletariat. This is the order of Tukhachevsky.
I wish these Masovatists would not blow up the oil fields. Lenin has given me special instructions regarding oil.
The Musavat government has a 30,000-strong army. Most of them are fighting in the war in Karabakh and on the border with Armenia. They have kept only 2,000 fighters in Baku. In all cases, armored trains should enter Baku first to organize the defense of oil fields immediately.
The 3rd International and 3 more armored trains are located in the forest within 200-300 meters of the Samar River on the border with Azerbaijan. The bridge was considered a natural zone. There were Russian guards on the side and Azerbaijani guards on the other. According to the Russian Army intelligence, there is a small army unit and armored train on the Azerbaijani side. The commander is a Georgian officer. It is decided to find out whether the bridge is mined and to talk with the commander.
Look, we have come as guests, but we don't have vodka. Maybe you have some cognac?
There is no cognac, but we can find some.
So if there is money, we can come and drink tomorrow. Guys, there will be no war. You know, our parliamentary delegation is in Moscow. A peace treaty will be concluded. How do you live? How is the situation? I'm from Baku too.
The friendly conversation with the soldiers works, and even Lezginka was played on the accordion and everyone dances. Communists hold another secret meeting. The deputy chief of the military port, Chingiz Yildirim, is charged with preparing the navy against the national government. Rasul Zadeh organizes a meeting on the Musavat party and at Nasib Bey Yusubayev's house at night. It is decided that the Musavat party should not participate in the government organized by Mahamat Hassan Hajinsky. It is hoped that Hajinsky will refuse to form a government and the situation will change. Representatives of the Russian side meet with the head of the Azerbaijan Guard. The officer introduces himself as Lord Kipanidze, staff captain of the Tsarist army.
There will be no war against Azerbaijan. You're a staff captain of the Tsarist army, an experienced commander. If you served us, you would be a division commander. Come to our side. We will gladly accept you.
How dare you offer me such a thing? How can a nobleman of the Kutaisi governor, a wounded officer of the Russian army, defect to the Bolsheviks?
Mr. Captain, why are you angry? We have so many such officers.
It's impossible. I've taken the military oath to serve the Republic of Azerbaijan.
An extraordinary meeting of the Communist Party of Azerbaijan is held in a conspiratorial apartment. The meeting discusses seizure of power and sets up a temporary revolutionary committee. It is decided to submit an ultimatum on the handover of power to the parliament on 27th April. Yefremov meets with train crew members. He explains the challenges ahead. He says that Azerbaijan is gateway to the East for a world revolution and recalls the importance of Baku oil. Shafi Bey Rustambayev receives a report from Yalama that the Russian troops have crossed the border and are advancing on Baku. Shafi Bey immediately informs Nasib Bey, Fateh Khan and the governor of Ganja. All phones in Baku are ringing all night. Armored trains approach the Yalama station. Two companies of the Guba regiment start to resist together with a gendarmerie detachment. The fight lasts about 2 hours. However, the unequal battle with a heavily armed Red Army ends in defeat. About 350 soldiers of the Azerbaijani army are killed. 6 fighters, including the commander of the 299th Battalion of the Red Army, surnamed Ninikin, are killed. As armored trains approach the Layat station, the armored train led by Staff Captain Lord Kipanidze tries to resist the Red Army and issues an instruction that the railroad should be blown up. However, artillery fire from the 3rd International also prevents this attempt. In the house of Nasib Bey Usubayev, there is a meeting of party leaders and government members. Shafi Bey Rustambayev suggests that the government be immediately relocated to Ganja and a new fight against the Bolsheviks be organized there. Other leaders protest at this offer. It is proposed that the government stay in Baku and be headed over to the Bolsheviks without bloodshed. In the city, various rumors go round about the Red Army attacking Yalama. Specifically, word goes round that the Russian troops are led by a Turkish general. It is reported that the Russian army is going to help Turkey. The situation in the country is discussed in the parliament. Defense Minister Samad Bey Mehmandarov acknowledges that in such a situation, the army is unable to fight the Russian troops. After that, talks begin about the handover of power to Bolsheviks under the certain conditions. The Azerbaijani army's guard train burns down the Hachmaz bridge to prevent the advance of armored trains. But soldiers restore traffic on the railway and advance. The armored trains reach Hachmaz. Hamid Sultanov presents an ultimatum to the parliament on the handover of power to the Bolsheviks within the next 12 hours.
Let the power be fully transferred to the Bolsheviks.
Foreign Minister Hoyski calls the British High Commissioner to the Caucasus to convince the Georgian government to send troops to help Baku. At the same time, he urges him to exert pressure on Armenia to end the fighting in Karabakh, so that the government can send the troops fighting in Karabakh to the border.
Western nations made promises, but at the same time, the great powers in this period were interested in the debts of the former Russian Empire, in the Russian issue, and who would pay off these debts. Especially France was very interested in this issue.
French Supreme Commissioner for the Caucasus, Count de Martel, to the French government. The Azerbaijani government issues a report on the valuation of the borders by about 6,000 Bolshevik troops and their advance on Baku. The Georgian government agrees to send troops and armed vehicles to Baku. At the same time, they do not hide that there is no point in fighting on your own. In the afternoon, Chingiz Yildirim instructs the ships to arm. A red flag is lifted on the ships as soon as they receive information about the Red Army crossing the border. Chingiz Yildirim presents the government with a second ultimatum.
To the Parliament and the Government of Azerbaijan, the Red Fleet of the Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic proposes that you hand over power immediately to the Soviet Workers' and Peasants' Government headed by Nariman Narimanov. The response should be given 2 hours after the receipt of this document, otherwise fire will be opened.
Armored trains reach the Hirdalan station. The guard train of the Azerbaijani army makes another attempt to slow down the enemy. The Hirdalan bridge is set on fire to destroy the railroad. But again, it has to retreat due to artillery fire from the Third International.
It was decided to hold an open meeting by the majority of votes. The world provides to the chairman of commission, Mohammad Hassan Hajinsky. Please.
The Central Azerbaijan Communist Party proposes that we hand over power to them. At the same time, they assure us that if we accept their terms, the Red Army will never come to Baku, and they will do their best to prevent the Red Army from coming to Baku. All officials will stay in their places. Only those who are in charge of the government are removed and replaced by Azerbaijani communists. And there is no one but Muslims there.
Commander Efremov receives a telegram that the Azerbaijani government has requested an armored train from Georgia for help. Efremov orders that one of the armored trains be sent to Ganja. There is an instruction that the railroad should be blown up if necessary. In the afternoon, posters are put up on the streets of Baku in Azerbaijani, Russian and Turkish, saying that the Red Army is going to help Turkey. There are rumors that the Russian army is headed by a Turkish general.
The fact that the auxiliary regiment put Turkish flags on top of the buildings and sang Turkish songs on the streets to welcome the 11th Army, all this aimed to prepare the population psychologically to welcome the arriving Bolshevik army without resistance.
Their task is to pass through Azerbaijan and free Turkey from cruel imperialists. Since everyone, including us, are happy about Turks' liberation from the imperialist bondage, no one is against this idea inside the Republic.
We don't have to worry about this offer. They now say do it, and we must do it. When you tell them that this is not the case, they say, you son of a bitch, it is. Now the soldier stands there, and you can't do anything. There is no way out other than surrender, because it's too late now. We need to safeguard the nation's welfare. They also promise this and say that the independence of Azerbaijan will be protected. And I am convinced that instead of present independence, Azerbaijan will achieve other independence.
Gentlemen, what does surrender mean? Whom are we giving our positions? They tell us that there is a Turkish commander called Necati at the head of the army crossing our borders. They say that this aggressive army from Russia is trying to save Turkey, which is engaged in a deadly fight. Brothers, Turkey is the savior of Azerbaijan. It is a sacred land that raised the honor of our nation. We are glad to welcome a force that comes to rescue it, but on condition that this force does not swallow our freedom and independence. Brothers, any force that enters our land without asking us is not a friend, it's a foe. What they want is to retake the boundaries of 1914. The occupying army entering our country on the pretext of rescuing Anatolia will not want to get out of here again. We reject this ultimatum with total hate. We came here with the will and desire of the nation, and only force and bayonets should remove us from here.
There were different ways out. They had either to defend the line of cooperation with Russia, as M. Hajinsky said, and A. Garayev and Seyfakordsky supported, or to take the path of military resistance to Soviet Russia.
So what should we do now? Of course we must agree that if our nation can't get a real pleasure from this independence, then the nation will protect itself after a month or a year if it doesn't do so now. The opinion of our socialists is that power should be in their hands. Now there is another group that is on the side of the Azerbaijani workers. They are our citizens. They consider themselves Azerbaijanis and want power from us. We, without knowing anything, give power to our people, the workers and peasants.
Tbilisi, 27 April. France's chief commissioner in the Caucasus Count de Martel, although the Azerbaijani government issued a statement that it will fight the Bolsheviks, the troops have already reached Baku. The events in Karabakh forced the government to send all troops there, while the northern border remained open.
Our faction is opposed to surrender, but at the demand of the majority of parties, and in order to avoid a civil war, and in addition, given that the Communist Party will defend our independence, I am in favor of handing over all power to them, provided that the Communists defend our independence, our nation, and our country with dignity.
The main condition was that Azerbaijan should preserve its independence and the newly created communist government should be provisional and not touch members of parliament and members of government and their property. Civil servants should retain their positions. The issue is put to the vote. It is proposed that all power be given to the communists. Whoever supports it, let them raise their hand.
The last meeting of the parliament ends at 23:25.
There were no allies to defend the interests of Azerbaijan, and maybe the then government surrendered power based on the reality. The massacre of 1918 was not forgotten. In this bloody region where Azerbaijanis suffered the most during the border conflicts with the Georgians and Armenians, a new war could have broken out. At that time, it was a wise decision, of course, to surrender power to bring peace and security to people.
Representatives of the Bolsheviks welcome Yefremov, Mikoyan, Musabayev and Jabayev, who are on the train, and bring them to the parliament building, which is now the residence of the Revolutionary Committee. The Azerbaijan Provisional Military Revolution Committee is established as the supreme authority. Nariman Narimanov is appointed chairman. Mirza Davud Husseinov, Gazanfar Musabayev, Hamid Sultanov, Ali Haidar Garayev and Dadash Bunyadzadeh are selected members of the Revolutionary Committee. The founders of the Republic handed over power to communists in a peaceful and democratic way, under certain conditions. However, these conditions were violated on the first day. Developments began. Arrests took a mass scale. The protests were drowned in blood. Azerbaijan was exposed to Bolshevik occupation, and the country lost its independence. Why did the Republic of Azerbaijan fall? Mohammad Amin Rasulzadeh would answer this question in his articles later. The Tsarist government, which loyalty is always in question, did not want to give weapons to Muslims. It is officers who create an army. We had great shortcomings in this issue. Tsarism do not recruit Muslims as civil servants. Therefore, we did not have enough civil servants. Armenians and Georgians had their own school for many years, while Muslims had no such privilege. It should not be forgotten that the tragedy of the Republic of Azerbaijan occurred not only under the influence of domestic rebellions, but also an aggressive external force.
The national government of Azerbaijan did a great deal of work in the country in a short period of time. It created an army in Azerbaijan, which was deprived of military service for 100 years. It created officers and security forces from Azerbaijanis who were not allowed in state administration under the Tsar. It carried out substantial social reforms. It drafted laws on the handover of land to villagers. It took measures to protect workers' rights. It began teaching in the mother tongue. It declared Turkish the official language of the state. It opened secondary and higher schools. It created a Western European-style government responsible to people's representatives. Power was in the hands of the national parliament. Without a vote of confidence from the parliament, no government could start its work. There was full freedom in the country.
The supporters of the Soviet government and opponents of this government experienced the same fate. Nariman Narimanov realized that the idea of communism was empty, but he had no way back. In 1925, at the age of 55, he died mysteriously in Moscow. Ali Haidar Garayev was loyal to the Soviet government, held high positions and was executed as a counter-revolutionary in 1938. Hamid Sultanov became Minister of Internal Affairs, and the fact that he was decorated for crushing the Ganja uprising did not save him from execution in 1938. Mirza Davud Husseinov became Minister of Foreign Affairs, worked in several other high positions and was executed in 1938. Gazanfar Musabayev worked in senior positions, was arrested in Moscow in 1937 and was executed a year later. Chingiz Ildrim worked as a minister and in other positions and was executed in 1938. Dadash Bunyadzadeh, his senior position did not save him from being executed in 1938. Samat Aga Agamali Agli became a Minister of Land and Chairman of the Central Executive Committee. He died in Moscow in 1930. Muhammad Hassan Hyjinsky served the Soviets for 10 years, but was arrested in 1930 and killed himself because he could not endure severe torture. Garabay Garabayev was arrested immediately after the invasion and was sent to exile. Aslan Bey Safikursky became a Deputy People's Commissar of Justice and was arrested in 1922. Fatali Khanhoysky, immediately after the invasion, he moved to Tiflis and was assassinated by Armenians there on 19th June. Nasib Bey Usubayev left Baku for immigration after the coup and was mysteriously killed in the Kurdamir crash on 31st May. Mustafa Bey Bakilov, immediately after the invasion, he moved to Tiflis and then to Istanbul. He died in Amasya in 1965. Shafi Bey Rustambayev, immediately after the invasion, he moved to Tbilisi, from where he had to immigrate to Istanbul. He could not return to Azerbaijan for the rest of his life. He died in Istanbul in 1953. Muhammad Amin Rasulzadeh, the founder of the Republic, lived in exile from 1922 until the end of his life. Until his last breath, he fought for the independence of Azerbaijan and waited for that day with hope. He died in Turkey in 1955 and was buried in Ankara. The Republic of Azerbaijan created the first democratic, law-governed and secular state in the Muslim East. It explained to the people what independence means. For this reason, the 70-year Soviet regime could not suppress the wish of the Azerbaijani people for independence. These people fought for freedom again and won. Because in contrast to the beginning of the previous century, the nation was educated. Baku State University, founded by Republic government, was 70 years old when the popular movement began. Because since 1971, a national military school has been operated in Azerbaijan. Finally, this nation was able to hand over the Republic's ideals of independence from generation to generation for 70 years. That is why the flag of the Republic was raised up again in the sky. This flag first time was raised in the season of the Supreme Assembly led by Heydar Aliyev in the Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic on November 17, 1990 and gained official status. The nation started to be proud of its glorious past. As a result of all this, the people rose up when there was a threat of loss of independence again in the history of contemporary Azerbaijan, took to the streets by a call of nationwide leader and stood up for freedom and independence. Therefore, the independence of Azerbaijan today is permanent, irrevocable and eternal. A flag that rises once will never fall again.